Words to live by.
Oh, that's fantastic. All right. Hello, everybody. Today is Thursday, September 15th. This is MS Office Hours. My name is Heather Cox. With me today are my wonderful co-hosts, starting with
Hey everybody, Stephanie Stevens.
Garrett Chandler.
Andrea Thingrio.
I was like, is she paused for a
I
second?
know. I'm like,
It's
Garrett,
like-
yours was very lackluster, man. Try again.
No,
Garrett
no.
Chandler.
And then
I can't
Andrea
do it
took
like
a minute. So we are very
Like,
excited
don't
that
associate me with these people. Yeah.
Stephanie is going to be co-presenting with my buddy, my pal, Kurt. I love Kurt. We were on the same team that Stephanie and Kurt are on right now. And so we call him our Viva King, and Stephanie, like she says, she's going to give us some color commentary. So Kurt and
Yes.
Steph, we'll turn it over to you guys.
Kurt, introduce yourself better than
Yes.
Garrett and Andrea.
I know,
I
right?
am the Viva King. Is that what you're looking for?
I love it.
Perfect.
I had Secrets of Nim
Okay.
vibes rolling as you were doing that.
Good.
Love it.
I'm
Awesome.
glad. All
Well, hey,
righty.
Kurt, I'm excited. Let's do this, buddy. You start rolling and I'll jump in.
Do you see that screen?
We see it.
1 year
beautiful.
we'll not have to ask that question.
Right.
Someday in the future. So, hey everybody, Kurt Bielmeyer. I'm on Steph's team. Microsoft Viva is our employee experience platform, one of the many things that plugs into Teams, which is the center of our collaborative ecosystem. Pretty soon this slide's going to be too busy for me to use it if it's not there already. There are currently 6 modules of Microsoft Viva. There were 4 about 6 to 8 months ago.
Yeah.
So we're rapidly making investments in fleshing this out even further. Viva Connections is a centralized platform designed to break down information silos, reduce duplication of effort, and really connect people across an organization regardless of which group or department they're in. Viva Insights is all about productivity and wellness, both on the individual side as well as the management and leadership side, gaining aggregate information about what's going on in an organization so you can take and make real-time adjustments. Viva Topics is your internal Wikipedia that who's having fun?
I'm trying to find who's jacking my vibe. Heather got him. Heather got him.
All right, got him. Viva Topics is just consider it your institutional Wikipedia. It's a knowledge management platform. Viva Learning is a professional development platform where you can have multiple platforms live: Coursera, Skillsoft, edX, homegrown training, and keep going. And then also the capability to make it collaborative. So instead of getting a recommended training from the AI behind the curtain here at Microsoft, Stephanie could send me something and say, hey, I took this. I know it's something you're passionate about and interested in. Something you should check out. And I might be more likely to do that than the list of recommended trainings that some artificial intelligence has put into a system for me. Viva Goals is about OKRs, objectives, and key results, and helps from a top to bottom and then bottom back to top completion of a strategic organizational mission. So you can start with something very qualitative, like we want to make our employees happy and have a healthy work-life balance. And then you can consistently dig further into that until it is quantitative, tactical, and project related with assigned owners and status updates and things of that nature. Pretty cool feature, and we bought it from a company called ally.io. So it's a pretty significantly baked product and really user-friendly, embedded right in Teams. And Viva Engage is really a more modern version of Yammer / My Communities, where you can embed that also within Microsoft Teams. Remember, if it's in Teams, it's on your phone. You can do it wherever you want. Don't let us know where you're doing it, but you can do it wherever you want.
Gross, Kurt. I'm just curious, as you transition, if you are using any of these today, will you pop it in the chat? You could just say connections, insights, whatever, learning. Just curious to see if anybody has these turned on and active in their environment.
Thanks, Steph. And I don't know why your mind would go to there. I was thinking more along the lines of like a doctor's office or
no, you weren't. You were not.
A scenic mountaintop.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally
right.
thinking that. So we want to focus on what? Connections and learning today?
Yeah, I think insights, connections, and learning. We've got
Let's do it.
abbreviated schedule, but we'll roll through.
Let's do it. So connections, just think of as a modern, sexy, user-friendly SharePoint. I don't think I've ever met someone that's gone to a SharePoint site and wanted to tell all their friends about it. However, I've showcased Viva Connections for people and they've been like, wow, that's really cool. Tell me more. It is kind of formatted. Well, it's formatted however your organization wants to format it, but it is very user-friendly, kind of formatted like a social media site. A lot of drag and drop, low code, no code, custom tile creation. It's built around SharePoint. It aggregates information, and it's available mobile. It's available embedded in Teams, and it's also available on the web. So as I'm talking, I'm just going to hit play for this little animation. You could see it's kind of set up like a social media thing where you could search. You've got your different tabs. You've got your ability to chat with people, and you can take things in connections from a we to an us concept. So what I mean by that is, hey, someone said something about, an organization, like Satya sends a monthly message about Stephanie harassing him for pictures. I can click on that and I can dig deeper into our HR policies and find out more about them. Or I could find out about hiring campaigns, hackathons, new employees, people that are retiring. I can showcase whatever I want related to my organization, and I can curate that based on role. So in a higher ed environment, I can have different information for administrators, professors, students, and frontline workers. So it's not a bunch of extraneous white noise. It's information that matters to you. In the same way you would have AI behind the scenes of a social media capability, you also could have that with connections. You can embed your community information, blogs, reminders about watering your plants, taking time off, pay stubs, you name it. And it's all there for you to use on your phone, in Teams, or on the web. Just to give you an example, this is what ours looks like internally at Microsoft. You've got all kinds of sub menus. I can find out about cultural information. I can go to HR. I can report Stephanie. There's a bunch of things I can do.
I'm really
right
feeling
here.
singled out here, Kurt. The coolest thing about this too is, like, I don't know any use case that I had as a teacher in K-12 or as a faculty or staff member in higher ed where I would just always have our internal website, our staff website up and ready to roll, but I always have Teams up and ready. So I think that, again, crashing this in, cascading it into Teams is really the magic here. It does require you to have a modern SharePoint experience to be able to pull it in and integrate it in this way. So for some, that's the first step, is like, okay, we've got to redesign, rethink, and modernize our SharePoint. But once you have it, to be able to pull it in right here inside the Teams environment, you're going to get so much more traffic and attention to what you want to surface for folks.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And then what enhances the power of connections is something like topics, where I can hover over things, I can find out details, see, kind of abbreviated information, and then go to a fully detailed page, which is like that Wikipedia that I mentioned. So that's the quick and dirty about connections. Insights is something else, just like Stephanie said, we internally at Microsoft kind of live in Teams. And Insights is another app I can have right here. In addition to getting my daily emails that say, hey, you looked at this email, but you didn't open this attachment. You spent this much time in meetings yesterday. Seems like you were working after hours. You might want to relax a little bit. Any of those sorts of things. I have the capability to go right into Teams and do things. And everything in here I can set reminders for. So it creates habits, whether it's meditating, sending praise to colleagues, booking focus time on my calendar, pinning important people, both internal in my organization as well as external, to connect and collaborate with them on a regular basis. I can track how I'm feeling, and it might seem silly, but what gets measured gets managed. And when I find out, hey, Kurt, you're miserable on Tuesdays and happy on Thursdays, why is that? Maybe I can make an adjustment to my schedule to make my Tuesdays a little bit more like my Thursdays. And then I can share that goodness and that well-being with other people in my group. And I can see that, and I can have that when I go to have my performance discussions and ask for promotions and things of that nature, or my reviews. And I can showcase someone's wonderful accomplishments directly to them. I can
Oh, look, I went from being fired to getting praised, guys.
look
How
at
quick
that.
the
Look at
tide
that.
turns.
Well, hold on. Problem solver. You're going to solve the problem of you working here. So
Oh, great.
we could showcase that directly one-to-one to Stephanie.
Perfect.
We could showcase it within a team. We could showcase it within a specific channel, or I could do this directly within a chat. So if Heather and Garrett and Andrea and Stephanie and I are all in a chat and I want to showcase what a wonderful job she did and the energy she brought to this call. See, there's compliments in there too, Steph.
They're baked in.
I can do that right here. I can do it anywhere I want. And then, like I said, it lives here for that person to reference, and you can build that habit. And
Yes,
protecting
Scott.
time is a super valuable. What's Scott got? What do you got?
He's just saying that this is really about culture, and he's right. Yeah, like if you feel like you're a part of an organization and you're floating in the nether, right, and you're not connected to people and you don't hear from them and you're not giving any feedback, then you don't have a really great culture. And I think the earlier point, like what's the use case for adopting this, whether it's insights, connections, topics, et cetera, is that no matter where people are or how they work or where they work inside your organization, this pulls people together and builds culture. So I think across all of Viva, that's what you're going to see.
And there's also embedded capabilities like this. So after a meeting, you might get a notification that says, hey, what made this good? How could it be better? And you choose a rating and it's anonymous. So the Viva Insights capability on the management and leadership side is not a big brother type of capability, but rather it aggregates information. You have to have a minimum number of people for even pull that information. I think it's 9 on a team. And it just allows you to take actions based on the data that's taking place, the actions that are taking place, and it has built-in guidance. So if you've ever in a position where you're a brand new manager, or they're like, hey, so-and-so just quit, you now have double the responsibilities, or there's policy changes or whatever, there's built-in guidance in here based on industry best practices around things like, hey, if you're working after hours all the time, it's going to lead to burnout. Burnout leads to turnover. Okay, that's not good. Your team compares to other teams. So my team has 0.7 hours of one-on-one time with our manager. Teams of the same size are having twice as much. Well, what does that mean? Is this too much? Is this not enough? Where's the happy medium? How can I showcase best practices as a leader in my organization by saying this team's top performers, the morale's good, their turnover's low. Here are all the things they're doing that can make your life easier as managers, as individual contributors, as departments. So your manager sees what's on their team, and they'll be able to look at some best practices, recommended plans like after hours work. We talked about the delay feature early in this capability. Our manager for our business manager for education lives in New Zealand, I believe. And so obviously there's education across the United States. So now with the delay functionality, she'll be able to send all the information out at an appropriate time, regardless of where she is, so that people see the information. And relating back to culture, a lot of that information that gets sent out to our organization is showcasing and highlighting people's accomplishments. So you want them to see that. You don't want it to come through at 2 a.m. on a Saturday or anything of that nature. So these are some of just a sample of some of the best practices that you could pop up by clicking the button and understanding what's going on to address something before it becomes a major issue.
All right, let me pause you because I'm going to give a couple of really specific education use cases here, because I know that as Viva rolled out, it was initiated as sort of this like business facing, industry facing product. And listen, I'm not going to lie to you and say that we haven't had to reverse engineer some of this to make it comprehensible and communicable across education. What I can tell you is that customers that I'm supporting are finding a lot of value in these things for a couple of main themes that we're seeing in EDU. Number one, teacher faculty retention is at an all-time low. And there are not enough people to teach inside of institutions of teaching. And so a way that we note that we can retain good talent is by giving them access to well-being insights and protecting their time and valuing their time. We can also provide baked-in socialized learning and professional development inside of their regular day, which is what Viva Learning offers. We can provide easy access to knowledge management, which is what Topics is providing. We can give them access to all the resources and the benefits that they have as an employee of our institution and surface that through connections. And again, less click fatigue means more access and more usability. And that's why pushing it all through Teams does does support that. So definitely helps with retention. I would say the other thing that this is really helping with is that at no time, past, present, or future, has education been valued in the, sort of our social climate the way that other professions have been valued, right? I posted about this on LinkedIn, and I think some of you even reacted to it, that sometimes still people say, well, you were just a teacher. How did you end up at Microsoft, right? I think some of what we have to do is slough off this idea that things have to be customized for education. If we want to be seen as a profession worthy of tooling that's designed for all professions, then we have to step into this idea of professionalism within education. And I really do think that these tools and the modules of Viva help us to really modulate around what other organizations and industries are doing. So in that sense, I do think that while it wasn't initially designed for education, there's many use cases, and it actually helps to up our professionalism metric a little bit when we have things like this available to us. All right, Kurt, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, I got it. And I got the just a teacher thing too. I'm a former educator.
Yep.
I don't know that this would have kept me in education, but it certainly would have helped.
Yes.
There were certainly morale issues, or not understanding where information lives, or not understanding how to grow your capabilities and skills. In that vein, I popped something in the chat window that just showcases the capability, the collaborative capability of Viva Learning. And it doesn't have to be technical skills or certifications. It could be soft skills, and it could be through a book, or it could be through a course, or it could be a PDF, okay, any number of things. So that is also an important point to make around Viva. All the modules can be used standalone. Their power is exponentially increased when you use them together. When you talk about understanding the topics and what's going on in an organization, you pile that on top of connections, you know, it makes it so much more powerful. When you have insights and you're able to address things like, hey, here's what we can give you. We can't give you more money, but we can give you more training. We can give you learning. We can help you book time. We can help you understand how to better balance things. We can provide you with mindfulness and meditation exercises to reduce stress because you're doing such an important job. The leadership component, anybody in an organization that's designated as a leader would have access to these 9 components here, and they'd see aggregate information about the entire organization, and they'd be able to act on it.
Sorry, because
Yes.
this is a question from Kim.
Mhm.
So I think it's important to note that this is aggregate data and it's not specificity into somebody's specific email inbox, right? So as faculty might, and faculty will, right? Anytime they feel like they're being shown a light upon for anything that would be their choice to do, there will be some pushback, right? But I think it's important to see this so that you can communicate. In actuality, this isn't talking about specific individuals. This is aggregate data across time, and it's not coming from a place of saying, hey, get after this employee, they're not working enough. It's really saying, hey, manager, you're doing a shite job if you're allowing your people to work so much after hours. You're not giving them the appropriate setup to be successful during their workday. So do better. What are the best practices as a manager that you can do? So yes, there is a statement on that anonymity at some point. Dwayne, if you don't find it, we can surface it too. Sorry, go ahead.
Yep, absolutely. I see my information. My manager sees their team's information. My organizational leaders can see it all up. None of it is individualized. It is all aggregate information, so I can take the pulse of what's going on with my employee base. Nothing is specific to the individual. You can do things like protect employee well-being. They'll give you recommended actions. Hey, how can I address this? That's great. You're telling me what the problem is. I don't know what the solution is, right? But it's there. How do people feel about their relationship with their manager? Are they feeling co-attended, micromanaged, coached, undercoached? What are the industry best practices? How long should I host meetings for? You know, how many people should be in a meeting? You know, if there's too many people, people don't have the opportunity to interact. So it's really a one-way street. So if you're driving for collaboration, maybe you need to do things in a different manner. Talking about cultivating autonomy and empowering people to say no. This is just another example of some of the best practices and recommended actions. You can segment things out by role. So like in this example, this business example here, an individual contributor versus vice president levels versus managers. You can, you know, take a pulse on what's going on with them. How do they feel about things? If you have people looking for aggregate information, you can chat directly in Teams. You can subscribe to reports, you can export them, and you can send them off. So you don't have to have everybody having this capability and going into and understanding the tool. You can have a handful of people that understand this data and are able to send it out with other people, communicate, hey, what are you seeing? I saw a big turnaround in this team. What was the strategy? What were the strategies you used? And then there's also baked in reports and queries like Microsoft Teams Insights. Learn about your team, adoption of Teams. Hey, we made this big investment. And we don't know how people are using these things. Well, there's a built-in report that you can run here to kind of get insight around that. Or you can create custom reports around what people are doing, and you can decide how often they're sent out. So you can compare things month to month, year to year, department to department, and again, understand those best practices. And that's really what it's for. We do these internal surveys at Microsoft that are taken very seriously and are also anonymous, and they do exactly that. So they would compare like the team that Stephanie and I are on this year to last year, compared to education all up, compared to Microsoft all up. So then we can say, hey, we're doing this better. We're lagging behind here. Here are the changes we can make for the betterment of our employees and the improvement of our culture.
Yep. Yeah, and I do want to just showcase learning here before we end. And if you have questions, put them in the chat rather than wait till the end, because I can help to address that. And I'll come back to yours, Christine. But Viva Learning is probably the one that across education is latching on specifically for IT departments, et cetera, who want to be able to support the upskilling of their staff inside of teams and inside their org. So keep the questions coming while Kurt keeps rolling.
And it's also really valuable. So that's just an example of how you can integrate multiple learning platforms, including things that are homegrown. Like I said, the collaborative capability, the ability to recommend things to individuals or teams, provide dates, create learning pathways, change based on what you need. Hey, I'm learning more about leadership. I go into a management role. Now I want to learn more about inclusivity. So I take that training. Now I'm doing something more technical. And you can also empower people. So how these modules work together, I can go and say, hey, changing our business model, my leadership asked me to present on that next week. My team's always hearing me talk. Is there anybody else that I could showcase? Well, let me look at this. Oh, Charlotte. Charlotte's done all of the training already, and we've had conversations about that. And she's super passionate about changing our business model. Why don't I showcase her skills and capability in front of a larger audience, and also be able to delegate for myself so that I can work on some other things, right? So it gives you the what gets measured gets managed environment, but tied in such a way where you're working on helping people and empowering them through a learning platform, right? And understanding like, here's some way that I can reward somebody that's not necessarily monetary, but just kind of shows that, hey, you're a valued member of this organization. And I think that's the real power, is that I can go in directly in chat, just like I did with you guys, and recommend things. And if Heather or Stephanie recommended something to me, I would take it very serious. Like, oh, you went into this and you thought about me. I'm really going to look at this. And again, it's that, we're stronger together type of concept where we can work with one another. Or maybe we want to work on a project and I take one training and Stephanie takes another and Heather takes another. Maybe that allows us to be more efficient with our time as well. So it's not just that there's one location, it's in Teams. Oh, I can access it on my phone while I'm waiting for my doctor, and there's a backlog and I'm sitting in the waiting room watching The Price is Right and disappointed that it's not still Bob Barker. But, maybe I can actually get something done and be more efficient with my time. So thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Yeah, no, will you go back to the learning page and search for something, because the thing that I love the most is also the thing that Garrett loves the most. And I can actually hit the 3 dots on any one of the topics that I find that I want to learn about, and it will automatically schedule on my Outlook calendar what I want to learn and put the block down for the amount of time that it says that it should take me to learn it. So yes, here we go. Time management. It's thinking about it. Awesome. So you can see that this is surfacing here, some LinkedIn learning courses. This one takes about 1 hour and 8 minutes. If I click on that, it's going to allow me the opportunity up at the top to add to my calendar. And if I click that, it's going to find times Kurt's full forever. So it'll find times on a day that he chooses in the future or suggest through AI time that he has an hour to take this course, and it will automatically link it inside of his Outlook calendar as well to just jump right back into. So pretty fantastic stuff. Again, the automation is life, and the general sort of feedback, and we hear you, is we want to hear from people who are rolling this out. Well, we do too, and we've got lots of customers that are in the pilot stage and the POC stage, but would love to have some of you all engage with this, turn these on, start playing around, find value where you can, and help us create the story for how education uses these modules. And I'll say specifically, he's recommending this to you. A big
Time
shout
management,
out.
Heather.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
not me.
that's not
well,
you.
that was your maiden. That was your maiden name.
Right.
Hecox.
But a really
Search for
big,
Hecox.
a really big thank you to Kurt for coming on and sharing this with us. The Viva King lives to fight another day. And some of these, Bill, are not an additional cost, and some of them are. So we're happy to connect you with your account teams to learn more. They have this information, and we're excited that these are available to us. And, you know, as we do in education better than anybody, we'll hack it to our use case.
Yeah, and one thing I definitely want to mention is, as you guys know, Viva, it's growing, it's changing. I mean, in the little bit of time since I left that role, like, it's changed significantly in 2.5 months. So you have to continue providing feedback. You have to give that, because as you've watched with teams and the constant changes, you have to make sure that the things that you want to see adjusted, please do that all over the place for all the different things. So, you know, sometimes they what's our feedback link now? I know it's not user voice, RIP user voice.
Chandler's
It's
muted.
called Feedback Portal.
Okay.
Feedback
This is
portal.
Microsoft Feedback
Garrett
Portal.
Chandler
Yeah.
with the win.
So yeah, so remember to provide it there. We obviously communicate things back, but real change happens when you guys do it. We can say it all day long, but they don't 100% believe and take that in until they get inundated with the exhaustive feedback from this group.
Yes.
Awesome. All right, I will stop the recording. Stephanie, Kurt, thank you so much.